Hi guys, because I'm not going to be there the next couple of weeks, I thought I'd put together a little video that just explains your assignment, your essay in a little bit more detail. I'm hoping that I give you all the information that you need. Of course, if you need any further clarification, I'll just be at the end of an email. So feel free to ask me any questions over email, not DayMap. So the upcoming essay is on World War II. You get to choose any event that interests you that occurred in the time span of World War II. What I've done here is sort of characterized them for you based on how easy it is to get information. So some of the more easier or less difficult events of World War II would be Pearl Harbor, the Holocaust, or atomic bombs, so the dropping on Japan. These particular events have way more information on the internet that you'll be able to find. The next level up would be things like the Battle of Britain, Battle of Midway, D-Day, Dunkirk, or the Fall of Singapore. These events are slightly more difficult, but there's still a lot of information on the web about it, so you should be okay. If you are looking for more of a challenge, events that maybe are a little bit more detailed, maybe a little bit smaller, and may not have necessarily a lot of information about them. So if you are good at researching and you're looking for a bit of a challenge, you can choose some of the events such as the Darwin Bombing or any of the smaller battles that Japan was involved in. On DayMap, you will see that there's an assignment sheet. Don't get overwhelmed by this. What I've actually done, and you'll see in a second, is created a help sheet that you will be able to use for your entire essay. All this assignment sheet basically does is tell you that you are to choose one event in World War II. And the purpose of the essay is to consider both perspectives of the event. So the perspective of the people that actually did the event and those that received it. This is the help sheet that is also being uploaded to DayMap as under the assessment. You'll see that there are 4 main paragraphs: your introduction, the first perspective, the second perspective, and the conclusion. All right, and I'm going to go through them really quickly with you now to give you a little bit more of an understanding. The first one is introduction. So this is very basic. It basically sets the scene of World War II. So from the event that you've chosen, I want you to kind of tell me about what has happened in the world before your event. Give us a bit of a snapshot of what's happening for World War II. Introduce your event with some information, key dates, key figures, the location, maybe who were the leaders of those particular countries at the time. So your intro is basically an introduction to World War II, but also to the event that you've chosen. Perspective 1 is from the perspective of who made the attack. So for example, if it is Pearl Harbor, Japan made the attack. If it's the Holocaust, the Nazi Party made the attack. So these are the people that actually did the damage. Here are some of the things I'd like you to consider for this paragraph. Firstly, what were their motivations? Why did they want to make that attack? What were they hoping to achieve? I want you to try and find as many direct quotes and statistics as possible. So a quote around how they felt about the attack being made might be really good. For instance, when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, which was America, I think one of the famous quotes was, "I feel that all I've done is awaken a sleeping giant." Okay, so it showed that even though they were prepared to make the attack, they were still a little bit nervous and hesitant and aware that it was going to spark something in the future. The fourth dot point there is why they chose that particular location. What was it about that particular spot that they wanted to damage or invade or overcome? And I want you to consider the consequences. So even though they're the ones that did the attack, I want you to think about what the impacts were for them. Did they lose lives? Did they lose equipment? Were they putting more concentration in that part of the war when they should have been concentrating on another? Really consider all the aspects of the countries and the people that made those attacks. In comparison, we're also going to consider the other side of the battle, okay? So perspective 2, who received the attack. So in instance, if it's Pearl Harbor, it was America receiving the attack. So what we want to consider here is what local people saw when the attack was made. Were they prepared? Did they have any idea that the attack was coming? I want you to consider the short-term and long-term effects. Short-term are the things that happened and made them suffer right away. Long-term effects are things that they continued dealing with for months, possibly years after. Find some quotes. How did the leaders and the people feel about the attack that was being made? How did they deal with the attack? Was there immediate response? How are they still dealing with the attack now? I want you to consider as many things as you can from the people or the country that received the attack. You're doing well. Stay with me. The very last one is the conclusion. Now, there is no right or wrong of this. It's just how well you justify. So the conclusion is your thoughts. It is what you feel about that particular event that you're focusing on. So what is your opinion? Do you think that the event should have happened? Do you think the event was actually justified? Did the country making the attack have enough grounds to go and make that attack? What could have been done differently? So put your little thinking hat on. Pretend that you're the leader of that country. What could you have done differently rather than go and attack, bomb, or invade those particular people or countries? I want you to also consider what would happen if that event didn't occur. What you'll soon see is that in World War II, every event led to something else. If you were to take your event out of that, how would that have made an impact on the rest of the war? For instance, if Pearl Harbor wasn't bombed, would America have entered World War II? That's what I want you to consider. The very last thing that I'm going to leave you with is referencing. Now, I know some of you have learned in Year 9 how to do footnote referencing. That's the in-text referencing with the little number. If you know how to do it, do it. Okay, I would absolutely love that. If you've never been taught that, I completely understand. For now, I'm quite happy with you using in-text referencing, which is the one with the brackets, or just putting a correct reference list at the end of your essay. Make sure that you're putting those URLs in to Cite This For Me or another referencing generator to make sure that we've got a complete, correct reference at the end of our essay. I'm asking that you give as much evidence as possible with quotes and statistics. You have a minimum of 5 references, okay, and you give it your best shot. I'm going to proofread all of your essays the moment I get back. You'll have a couple of lessons to make some adjustments and changes to make sure that this essay is the best of your ability. Like I said to you earlier, it is your only assessment for this term, so please, while I'm away, do some work, be good. If you need to wear some headphones to try and zone in, please do so. But I really, really want you to have a crack at this to make sure that we are all achieving great results in Year 10 history. Have fun, be good.